All right, Facebook Live. I'm here. Trying to see what's going on with everybody. Last time that we were here, we were talking about creating plans. We were talking about definitely just trying to figure out how to manage through this epidemic. I wanted to first start off by saying I am here, ready to take some questions. A lot of people wanted me to kind of open up with doing some question and answer. So as soon as people are logging in, I'll start looking at some of the requests that people are wanting to know. All I need for you guys to do is just kind of open up with some questions. While I'm waiting for some questions, I wanted to talk to you guys about the shirt Sober Christmas project. It's something that I've been heading up for probably about 6 years now. We make sure that we do give back to the community as much as possible. Whenever we do uh, get people um, on Sober Christmas Project, they will start to know kind of how we give back. Last year we gave out almost 600 items I mean, gifts to people that were in some type of housing. If they were in some type of inpatient or halfway house, we made sure that we got gifts to them. We also gave out 100 bags to the homeless. A lot of those, a lot of those, um, a lot of those gifts. We literally hand walked them out to people who were displaced. So I wanted to let you guys know about Sober Christmas Project. Make sure you guys like the page. We're probably going to open this up to a couple different counties whenever we start going. I'm waiting for some questions. Haven't seen any questions as of yet. But today though is really about relapse. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about what relapse is all about. A lot of people think relapse is just focusing on getting cravings, getting those urges. But a lot of times it's more than that. Cravings come from just the body. A lot of the times people aren't around people, but they are definitely doing things, or they're around people who are unhelpful to their recovery. And what I mean by this is whenever you start to feel those urges of cravings, sometimes those cravings are coming from the way that your body, the biophysical responses, and some of those responses are due to your metabolism. And I was going to talk to you today about your metabolism. Uh, Whenever we go through, when someone is going through the process of using a substance, most people know about tolerance, most people know about dependence, but a lot of people don't know the process of whenever they're going through withdrawals. And I know that there are some people that are going through withdrawals at the current time. Normally, the withdrawal symptoms usually last probably up to about 14 days is the main acute withdrawals. But then it can go into post-acute withdrawals that definitely can last almost to a year or so. But the main thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was the metabolism. A lot of times, people don't know that their metabolism works a whole lot of the way that people are thinking. And when I mean that, when the way that people are thinking, whenever people go to a restaurant and they are trying to decide what they want to eat, a lot of times those when they pick like chicken or they pick beef, their enzymes and their metabolites are already starting to prepare for receiving whatever that food is that they want. And so a lot of times, whenever we pick that food, our body has already chosen it. And so it's the same thing that goes along with drug addiction. Whenever we see something, whenever we see a drug, or we watch a show, or we do something that's related, even music, or can spark up some of those metabolites, your metabolism to start working. A lot of times, people don't know that whenever you start to watch things and your eyes see different things, it can start your metabolism to start producing. And once it starts to produce, then that's whenever sometimes those cravings can start to get unbearable. A lot of times, whenever you see people who have gotten out of incarceration, or they haven't used in a long period of time, a lot of the response to, and the reason why people overdose, or why people have ill effects from using drugs when they come back to using, is because their body does not have is not prepared to receive that drug. Whenever we're constantly using a substance, our body is creating those metabolites early. It starts it early in the morning. That's the reason why people are mostly dope sick in the morning, because your body is already starting to metabolize. And if you haven't put the drug into your system, it's going to increase the cravings, which then increases the urge, which then increases the plan, then which goes into the active use of a substance. So the main thing that I just wanted to really express to you guys is that this is a good time during this period of time, if people aren't using drugs, or if they're withdrawing from drugs, that this is a good time to start eating a little differently. We need to start exposing our body to different types of foods. Don't get into a lot of sugars. A lot of people need to eat more protein, trying to get your energy level up, especially if we're going to be fighting an epidemic like we are right now. We definitely want to keep our immune system up. So, so the thing about the metabolism is that it can always crank up at any time, and sometimes it's unbeknownst to us when it happens. But a lot of times we can use our mind to kind of trigger that thing. Same thing like whenever we're craving sugar. Same thing if we're craving a cigarette, if we're craving caffeine, any of those types of cravings, your body is starting to metabolize them, and you don't even know it. And so that's the reason why you start to crave. So if you can stretch out some of those cravings in the mind and work your thoughts, sometime if you wait about 14 days without using, then it can definitely get a whole lot easier after the 14 days. But you have to know with that after the 14 days, you're definitely going to kind of start swinging into a honeymoon stage. And that honeymoon stage is where you're really starting to feel better. You're thinking to yourself, hey, I will never use again. This is it. And this is why sometimes I have issues with the 28-day program, because it falls into this honeymoon stage. And whenever it falls in the honeymoon stage, they usually release people at that 28-day mark. And it's usually right at the heightened level of the honeymoon stage. But right after the honeymoon stage, they land into a place called the wall. This usually hits about 45 days after the last use of a substance, and this will carry on for about 2 months of where your dopamine, your serotonin, your norepinephrine, those things will start to be at a lower level. You'll start to feel depressed. You'll start to feel kind of sluggish. Your thinking might start to be compromised, and you start to get frustrated. And you think to yourself that it might even be better if I just go ahead and use, because my life was a lot better on that. And the last time you felt that way was whenever you were in that first 14 days of the withdrawal. But if you can keep this going and keep the recovery process going to roughly about 180 days, it gets a lot better after 180 days, and then it gets extremely much easier roughly around 270 days. So there is medical research on relapse, and I definitely want to make sure that you guys are getting the information that you need. So I see a question here. It says, how do you stay motivated during this time? Relapse can be a lot of the things for some people. It can be food, other things as well. Yeah, so motivation is a big issue right now, because the main thing is keeping your I would tell people to keep looking at the future and not pay attention to the present. I think a lot of times for me, just especially for eating, like I posted last night, I was eating a lot of Frosted Flakes, and I know that I could have probably prepared for that, but I think just because of just all the stuff that's going on, watching TV, trying to keep up with the news, I'm starting to find out that I'm not really paying attention to creating a balanced eating habit. So the main thing about being motivated is just look at, do I want, after this is all over, do I want to have gained more, so that I would have to go back and start working all over again. So just look at kind of all of the work that you put into everything that in your life before this last week. And I think just kind of do not allow this circumstance or this situation to negatively affect the way that you perceive your future. So take a book, read, find some character traits that you want to work on, and use this time to kind of read some stuff and look at what's going on in your life and where you want it to be in the future. I'm looking for another question. Does anybody else have a question? Come on now, I know somebody got to have something out there. Let me see. I see Kristen's on. I see Alex is there. How's things going over there with you guys? Are you guys in the office? Well, the main thing that we have to look at in relapse is and definitely is hold on, somebody got a question here. Hmm. You know, it when it comes to necessity versus intervention, um, intervention is I mean, I'm a proactive type of person anyway, so I don't like, I used to be a reactive type of person, but I noticed that whenever you live your life in reactive, it feels like you have a whole lot less control over things. So if you prepare in the future, it definitely get a lot better. So I like that statement. Sarah, what's up, Sarah? You said, what are some good ways to set boundaries in a non-supportive family during this time? Huh. Well, boundaries is a major issue for a lot of people. What I've noticed in boundaries, people have different boundaries. Some people's boundaries are like uh, almost like a basketball court where you see the line on the ground, but you need like a third person to blow the whistle because you really can't stop the person from going over the boundaries. Some people have kind of toilet paper boundaries where it's you definitely see it, but everybody just blows right past it. Then you have people who have assertive type boundaries where you have the correct level of being assertive, not being passive, and not being aggressive in your communication style and telling people what you need. But some people are detached, especially in these times, and they have boundaries that need to be loosened, especially sometime with parents and children. That they might need to take a close look at some of the boundaries that they have with their children, and definitely non-supportive family. Whenever people have supportive family, you normally see a lot of interaction. I can tell you now a lot of issues that come up. Normally, you can see at a dinner table. People don't look at the philosophy of the dinner table, but if you look at a dinner table, you can see who sits next to each other. Normally, who sits at the head of the table, and a lot of people don't have that communication anymore. So to have a supportive family, you have to start with the communication. And I think if everybody in the family works on having autonomy, especially people that are in codependent relationships or people that are have enmeshed relationships, this is a definite time to work on the boundaries of having some separation, maybe go in other rooms at certain times of the day so that you can have some alone time. But it's just it is a major issue because it is a small quarters. But I would say, Sarah, the main thing to do is just really look at yourself and create boundaries that are healthy for you, and then allow everyone else to adjust to your boundaries. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about you, and especially clients that are dealing with being in unhealthy relationships or families. Let me see. Got another question here. All the kids, grandchildren. Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to have video. Whenever we look at video linking families together, I mean, it can help with morale. It helps with self-esteem. Um, uh, uh, and Sarah, you're welcome. But with everything going on, we have to stay connected with the people that we love, and if we're not keeping up on different ways to connect with our family, especially finding out if they're okay or not, definitely causes worry, and even starts to bring up fear. And I want to even talk about that. There's a big difference between fear and anxiety. Whenever you think of anxiety or fear, think of it as like seeing a snake in the grass, and you fear going in it. Anxiety is looked at kind of looking at looking at the grass, not knowing whether or not there is a snake there, and then having anxiety about going into it. So there's a big difference with fear and anxiety at this time. And if you're having issues with either one of those, it'll be good to reach out to someone who can better discuss those things with you. Is there any more questions? I don't see anything. I don't see any more comments. But it was good to see everybody today. Kind of hang out with you guys for a little bit. I definitely love hanging out, talking about recovery, talking about the mind. Spread the word. Get everybody to get on the Cadillac Counselor. I separated that from my business and my personal account, just so that I would be able to give you guys my thoughts and opinions without disturbing other ways, disturbing my other platforms. So it was great to answer some questions. I hope that we have, hold on, somebody. Local drug courts. Somebody has a question for me. Let me log on here real quick. Let me see. We gotta get us. It looks like somebody asked a question about drug courts. Let me see real quick. Let me see. Many of them are angry and feel held down. What are some good ways of practicing acceptance in this situation? First thing, I'll be honest, man, drug court, I don't even think, the court system even knows what they want to do right now. It's, I think it's, I think it's going to be kind of experimental at this time. But I can tell you that, there's probably going to be some people making some very unhealthy decisions, and I'm gonna see, and to be honest, that there are probably some people that are in jail right now that were supposed to get out. There's probably some people who are supposed to go in, and theirs have been postponed. So I think everybody in the court system is feeling the brunt of this. But I think it will get better eventually. And somebody had a question about practicing acceptance. Well, in order to practice acceptance, you have to go through a grieving process. I think now we got to figure out what we're grieving. I think we're grieving a new way of life. I think we are I think we are grieving jobs. I think we're grieving free time, being able to get out of the house. I think we have to grieve a lot of different things. But I think that some people are going to have to grieve at different levels. And like I said on yesterday, I think that some people are being traumatized even now. And so with being traumatized, how can you accept being in the middle of being traumatized? So I think we're still not even in a place of being able to accept the whole big picture, but I think that we can kind of come to a conclusion of accepting where we are right now. And I think that's a major deal, is just like for me right now. I know that I got 4 kids, I got a wife, and I'm in the house. So it is what it is. And I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying doing things for the business that I haven't been able to do. So my acceptance is great right now, but I know if people aren't working and they are without paychecks, I believe that their level of acceptance is not going to happen at the current time. I think they have to accept whenever this process is over. So I hope that this is helping some people get some better information. I think I got one more question. Well, I mean, I see BJ Miller sent me a question. He was talking about jobs being essential and not being essential. Um, you know, man, I just got to be real right now. I think everybody is seeing kind of everybody's decisions play out right now. Everybody's in positions that they've been at, and some people have to take a real hard look at kind of where they are in their life. Some people right now have vacation time and they're taking it. Some people are sitting at home and they're getting paid, and some people are sitting home and they're not getting paid. And for a lot of people, I mean, a lot of decisions in our past are playing out right in our present, and I hope that this is helping people start to see that maybe their present predicament is not exactly where they want it to be. So um, um, I get it. I mean, some people are faking it. Some people are faking sick not to go into work. I mean, a lot of people are doing a whole lot of behaviors, but we have to realize that it's all about us right now, and we have to pay attention. So if you're able to work, go work and protect yourself. And if you're not able to work, use this time to either look for a new job, apply at different places that you might not have applied for before. So this is a time of rebuilding, and I think rebuilding on many different levels. So I just appreciate you guys. I gotta go hang out with the kiddos for a second before I go to my next session. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. It was a pleasure hanging out with you, and stay out of trouble.